Hello Raiders, this is Ezron. Welcome to my Bastion. This is part 2 in my 2-part video series about gear cleansing. If you haven't seen the first video, you might want to go back and watch it. It's about the rules I apply to my account and how I think it might be useful for everyone to figure out where they are in the game, and based on that, what kind of gear you should be keeping or selling. Today I'm going to go through my account and apply those rules to the gear and see how it ends up. Now, I'll note, as a matter of comparison, 2 weeks ago, I had essentially full accessory storage. I had like 1,280 accessories out of the 1,300 you're allowed to keep, and I applied the rules and I'm down to 650, and a lot of these are at least worth rolling or keeping in order to try to get rolls. When it comes to artifacts themselves, I'm currently at 1,287, and I did on purpose save a large number of artifacts from the last fusion and the few events between that. So I have just a lot of data to go through and talk about what I keep and what I don't keep. My goal is, at the end of this video, or, if it takes a long time to go through everything, maybe at the end of 2 videos, to get down like probably in the 800 range, just to get rid of a lot of pieces of gear that, honestly, I will never use or aren't really good and I've been keeping for no reason. Instead, I'll use that silver to roll gear or do something for the clan versus clan that's going on. So let's dive in, and first, I've got a lot of red dots here. First thing we'll do is filter by new and look at everything that's been brought into my account. This is largely from Dragon and Fire Knight over the past couple of, like I said, fusion and maybe a week or more. I think there's very little to no Ice Golem gear in there. I don't save a whole lot from Ice Golem anyway. So let's go through the top. We're going to roll some of this stuff and then either keep it or don't keep it. Like, here's an interesting one right now. I talked about earlier in my video, I don't see why I would be keeping 5-star rare gear. This is an example of, my account is weak on really gloves and chest plates. So an attack percentage, this could be useful in like a clan boss setup. So I'm going to roll it. I'll go to 8. If we end up with 2 rolls in crit rate, I'll keep it. Otherwise, it's going right in the bin. So we'll start at level 4. If I get crit rate on that, I'll roll it again to level 8. Otherwise, it's getting sold. All right, so we'll roll it again. I will say I don't use any kind of Raid Shadow Legends Helper or anything like that. I roll at normal speed, so this, not always the most fun thing to watch, but you get the idea. So, gonna sell it just for not enough crit rate in that slot. And then we'll go through the rest of the pieces, talk about, is it a keep, is it a sell, is it a roll to decide, or do I let it continue? Overall, a really good piece. Really, if it rolls anything in speed or crit rate, really anything there, a double or triple roll would be worth it. Not going to go through right now. Here's an example of, really useful only if it rolls a double speed roll, and really the initial speed was, it's pretty low. 4 out of a maximum possible value of 6, I believe. So not doing a whole lot. Probably we'll see what it does. So that rolled 5 more. If it rolls again in speed, it's probably worth keeping. Otherwise, going right in the bin, being 5-star rare gear. All right, so that's now got enough speed. It's worth keeping for me on my account. Maybe just to help with tuning, or put somewhere in someone that just needs a little bit more speed to get their job done. Ooh, and finally a good piece. You know, honestly, any double or triple roll here is going to end up worth keeping. Really, you'd like to see it hit speed, but it may or may not. So we'll roll to 8 and see where we go. I can't imagine there'd be any reason to get rid of this unless it rolls, you know, a single thing in every slot, and already, you know, having hit speed, it's worth it. It's worth keeping. If we hit speed again, you know, super happy once we get to 8. Where are we? Speed and crit rate. So a very good piece at this point for a damage dealer. Continued rolls into speed or crit rate are all good. Worth keeping. Second shield, again, if it rolls double in speed, I keep. If it rolls probably resistance anywhere, I'm getting rid of, just because it's 6-star rare and really hard, therefore, to use. So a good roll, an 18, another 6, even a 19 if it got a 7 would be awesome for this piece. Come on, something good. Meh. Getting right sold. Finally, we have a chest. Resistance chest. Honestly, unless it rolls multiple speed sub rolls for arena use, probably not worth keeping. If it was 6-star, I might consider just as a resistance chest, but at 5-star, it's probably not worth it. And there we go. You know, some crit damage. If it rolls speed, I might take it to 12 to see if it's worth keeping, but if it doesn't even hit speed, it's going in the bin. Yeah, not worth keeping, getting sold. Moving into crit damage, normally I would sell all gear outright that doesn't have a speed substat. This, I think it's worth rolling to try to get either multiple crit rate or multiple crit damage rolls. Essentially, as long as we stay out of resistance on a piece like this, it's probably worth it for a damage dealer. We'll see how we do once we go to level 8. So first roll going to resistance. I can't imagine that this at this point would be useful. Getting sold. We'll go to 8 just to see how it does. Yeah. Double resistance piece on a damage dealing set. Not a whole lot of help. But you know, this is why you farm. This could have been a really good piece with, you know, a double or triple crit rate roll, but it's not going to happen. You know, now moving to boots, you know, anything in crit rate here is essentially a really good roll, especially trying to get people into crit damage gauntlets. Crit rate with crit rate substats is very positive. Sorry for that phone interruption. But now rolling this to level 8, this has gone from being a questionable piece to, in my opinion, a really good piece. You know, crit damage, 6-star with, you know, speed main stat, and now 20% on crit rate. This is something that I will put on someone probably like a damage dealer to get into crit damage gloves, and then good crit rate substats to continue. Getting, you know, crit damage or attack or defense percentage or hit point percentage or even accuracy on any of these other substats would make this like a pretty good piece overall. Continuing to move on real fast. You know, accuracy set is strictly worse than perception, so I only keep, you know, like really good pieces, and I again will only keep this if it rolls really well. So essentially, I'm looking for speed or accuracy substat rolls. We'll see what I get in my first 2. You know, even getting hit point in this wouldn't be a terrible thing. Crit damage, not so useful just because of the rest of the stats on the piece. So come on, another accuracy or speed roll, and it's probably worth keeping. Even a double hit point roll, I might. Crit damage, I'd probably sell. So at this point, it's probably good. I'll roll to 12. Just while we're here, I'll pause it while it rolls so we can see the results, and then we'll have some commentary on the piece when we get there. And with a double roll in speed, this is now probably serviceable. Eventually, I'll roll it to 16, hoping to either get a triple roll in speed or some extra hit points. But, you know, a reasonable piece, not an outstanding piece. Then moving on to this, really looking for speed and accuracy. Again, you know, hit points with the roll, the low initial roll there, probably not going to get me too excited. We'll roll it to 8. We get some rolls in here, we'll keep, otherwise it's getting sold. First 4 gives us an accuracy, so that's actually not bad. Roll wasn't super high, but 20 accuracy is 20 accuracy. Not going to complain a whole lot about that. And we'll see what 8 gets us. There we go. Oh, flat hit points. Yeah, at this point, because it's 5-star, it rolled into flat stat, and the speed isn't very good. At this point, this is a sell. Maybe with perception set, I would have kept that, but because I can make essentially more perception gear at will in the forge, not really worth keeping. Moving on to lifesteal, really at this point, I'm looking for only the best of the best. I'll roll this. If it ends up with, you know, double rolls in crit rate and crit damage, it might be worth keeping, but especially with no speed substat, this has to get really good really fast, or it's getting sold here. Maybe even if it initially hits accuracy or hit points, not going to do anything. But yeah. At this point, I'm saving the silver because it's not doing much, and especially now that I have, you know, unkillable teams, you're not going to want to put this on a support type character for clan boss. Selling that. So here we go, you know, defense with speed and resistance. At the point in my account, you really don't want this to hit crit rate. Really, we're looking for multiple speed substat rolls, you know, maybe a resistance. And this could go someone like, you know, an offset arena champion, or maybe a buffer or debuffer that's not expected to do damage. So actually not bad. First roll hit speed. If second roll hit speed again, this actually could be a very reasonable piece. Yes. So at this point, this might get used on someone who's not expected to deal damage, just needs survivability. Now we have a chest piece. Defense with speed, resistance, and crit rate. This is one of those things where, you know, my account is a little bit weak on. Really, crit rate or speed substats is good here. It would be better if this was 6-star, but I kept it just because I know what kind of artifacts my account needs. This could go on, you know, many different types of champions. Hit speed with not really the strongest roll. We'll go to 8. If it hits speed or crit rate, we keep. Otherwise, it's probably getting sold. Yeah, so not terrible. Will eventually be worth... Actually, let's roll it to 12 while we're here. A triple roll in speed would be really good, or if it hits crit rate, it would be really good. If it got into resistance, I don't know what I would do once it gets to 12. I'll pause this just for making the video short, then we'll see. Yeah, at this point, it's an okay piece. I'll keep, this might get thrown away later, but it rolled resistance, which didn't really help a whole lot of what's going on. And so then an attack chest, really double rolling either would be worth it. You know, if it rolls 1 and 1, not worth keeping, will probably sell. So hit points, you know, got a solid percentage roll there. If it rolls hit points again, worth keeping for a damage healer that needs some survivability. If it rolls 1 and 1, going to be in the bin for not specializing enough. So at this point, probably worth keeping. Now we have Fury set. Has a couple of niche uses in especially unkillable clan boss comps, or maybe champions like Leorius who have The automatically puts unkillable on himself. So essentially we're looking for any kind of double roll here. Crit damage double roll would be awesome, or crit damage and speed would be good. Hit points, not a lot of help, especially you want to lose hit points fast on this kind of gear. We'll let it get to 8 and see, but not looking good. Yeah. Not doing a whole lot, I don't think. Gonna be in the bin for not doing so well. Now a helmet. It's 5-star. Could be worth it for double rolls and anything. We'll give it to 8 and see what we get. Especially looking for speed and crit rate. This is a damage dealing set. Hit points might not be the end of the world, but you know, hitting that a lot or now hitting defense wouldn't be good for this artifact. Yeah, having rolled to 8 and not seeing a whole lot of usefulness. I'll send it to 12 real fast and see what we get, but not high hopes. Yeah, and so now that rolled, especially hitting flat stats and not doubling anything, not worth keeping, especially in a set that is, you know, not always generally applicable. Now we get into days. I can tell you, you know, only kept because it's 6-star attack boots, but with no speed, no crit rate substats, and having, you know, a defense substat on attack, I'm not even sure why I kept that in the first place. I'm just going to sell that before I waste any silver on it. Frost gloves, you know, crit damage, like my account is a bit starved for crit damage gloves. Essentially, we get multiple rolls in attack percentage. It could be good for a damage dealer, but you know, not high expectations with resistance and a flat attack. Flat attack isn't the end of the world in a set like this, but you really want crit rate as a substat. Not looking good. Yes. Double rolling that when you could have rolled into attack percentage. We'll save the vault space. If it only got one roll into attack and the other into attack percentage, might have sold, but at this point, not worth it, especially when it's a broken set piece. Moving on to Frenzy. Useful if it hits speed and crit rate. Hit points isn't as bad for this. Just because you get turn meter, but at the same time isn't as desirable as the other two. So if we get these two rolls in speed and crit rate, we'll probably keep. If not. Actually, yeah. Because it's marginal anyway. Hitting hit points, flat hit points, means this is going right in the bin. I'll save the silver on that one. Um, 5-star epic gear is generally something that I'm starting to sell just because I get it, because my account is advancing beyond that. I am going to roll this one real fast. If I get a double in speed or crit rate, I'll keep. Otherwise, it's getting sold. This is kind of a marginal piece for my account anyway, so we'll see how it goes. There we go, speed. Another speed set could be useful. Like, I think there's a few... yeah. Gonna sell. It's 5-star. Didn't get a double roll. We'll stop the bleeding going forward. And like for a long time, I struggled with selling pieces like that because I thought I would need them, but especially the use of broken sets is good if the piece is really exceptional, but because it was marginal anyway, not so good. This actually, looking at it now, It's a damage dealer set. The only thing it has is hit points. Selling it because I don't think I'll ever use it. That's another thing of, holding on to too many things because you might use it someday isn't helping. This is maybe potentially a better piece, but not really that much better because of no crit rate or no crit damage. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead on this one. Just the same. Regen. So this is not bad if it gets multiple rolls in hit points. For someone who needs to stay alive or a Doom Tower type champion, this isn't bad. So we get, one or more rolls in hit point percentage I'll probably keep. Otherwise, I would sort of doubt it. Not looking good because it just hit crit damage. We'll see what happens when we get to 8. Yeah. It's 5-star, not really hitting hit points. There we go. Now we're into immunity gear. I need a lot of immunity gear for arena teams. Depending on how this goes, speed is always needed for arena. Crit rate would be good. Even speed and resistance might not be that terrible, depending on the kind of champion that this goes on. So definitely worth rolling. We'll throw 2 rolls into it, roll it to level 8 to upgrade and see where it gets. So we have a crit rate. Maybe not bad. Come on. Crit rate or speed with this next one would actually make it a really good piece. So this is trending well, worth keeping. We'll roll later. This is now a pretty reasonable piece for an arena damage dealer. Now we have another piece. This is 5-star, but only epic. Essentially, we get rolls into accuracy and speed. It's probably worth keeping. Other than that, not a whole lot. We'll roll to 8 real fast and see how it goes. So here we have, a really low roll in speed. And we got some resistance, which isn't terrible. But at this point, I just don't see myself really ever using that, even for a debuffer, really, because of the lack of accuracy. So I'm going to sell here. Now we get into 5-star rare. I see why I kept it. Essentially, a double roll in either is fine. If we don't get a double roll, it's probably getting sold. This is really marginal. I might have sold it outright earlier. But now getting, to 19 accuracy, that's not bad. We get another strong accuracy roll. This could be an okay piece for someone that really needs to place debuffs or manipulate turn meter in the arena. Yeah, so now we have a little bit of each. Not going good either way. This is why rare gear falls off quickly, because you just don't get enough substats in them. Now you have a chest piece. Hit points. So essentially, this rolls speed, it's worth keeping. Otherwise, it's garbage. This is like one of those weird things where flat main stats you might want to keep if you can get multiple substat rolls. So we got defense there. I'm going to roll again and see what we get. Right, so if I got anything in speed, it would be worth rolling. At this point, the most I'm going to get is 12 speed, and even that's very unlikely. Not going to keep. 5-star epic boots, interesting. Essentially, multiple crit rate or accuracy rolls. Worth it for a damage dealer. And because it's in a relatively important set, I would look at, let's see what it does. First roll into resistance. Not a whole lot of help. Let's see where the second roll goes. Second one into resistance. At this, I'll keep. I'm not really thrilled about this one. At this point, it's for someone like an immunity cardinal who you don't want to get stripped, or someone that you don't want to get stripped. But that's a pretty narrow use case. Now we get into shields. Essentially, hitting speed or hit point percentage for this is good. If it runs into flat hit points, we'll probably sell. This is good for arena shield champions. Not bad. Almost, max roll. The max it could be is 14 there for 2 rolls on a 6-star artifact. Let's see what we get now for the second roll. Would be nice for speed or another hit point. Could actually make this a pretty good piece for the arena. Come on. This is... I should pause while it rolls up just so not everyone has to watch this. There we go. So at this point, this is a reasonable piece. Could actually go on someone, an arena shield champion. Probably not good. I don't have Mountain King, but the next tier down kind of champion for that is good. Interesting. Not sure why I kept this in the first place. Essentially, because it's 5-star legendary, worth rolling to 8. You get a double roll, or maybe rolls into crit rate and crit damage, and it's worth keeping. If it doesn't do anything useful, would get rid of. It's not bad. Another roll in crit rate would be good. I'm going to roll this to 12 real fast. We'll be back when it gets there. We'll see how it does. Well, we're back after that rolling. At this point, this is not a bad piece for a damage dealer. It doesn't have speed. But, another roll in crit damage, I'm not going to roll a 16 now, would be actually a nice piece. Roll in crit rate would be good. Hit point and defense, not so much, but it's a reasonable piece. Worth hanging on to. Moves us into Savage Boots. This is really here only for completing sets, and it's kind of marginal at that. I'll roll. Essentially, if it gets a double, it's worth keeping. If it rolls 1 and 1, or it gets really bad accuracy rolls, not so much. Really what you want with boots like that are damage dealing substats, but this is only to complete a set, essentially. And only getting, sold. Now, moving into Destroy, the pieces here have to be really good. Not even sure why I kept that one. It's 5-star rare. We're going to sell it now. Even if it rolls double speed with that low of a roll, I'm not going to do a whole lot for my account. This, however, is a much better piece. If I manage to avoid the flat attack and flat defense here, this could be a reasonable piece for a damage dealer. I do use Destroy Set on my Varius for clearing Doom Tower. If this gets lots of crit rate or crit damage substat rolls, could be an upgrade for him. Let's see what the first one does. Nope, flat defense, not a lot of help. Let's get to the second one, see where we go. There. It hit crit rate. I'll roll again, getting 12. Essentially, if it rolls another roll into crit rate, we'll keep. Otherwise, not so much. I'll be right back when it gets there. Yeah, at this point, because the piece is a bit schizophrenic, it has attack and flat defense and missed the percentage stats. Not really worth keeping. I think, not that long ago on my account, I might have kept that simply because it's 6-star speed boots, but no longer. This is really, any kind of double roll here would be good. Might prefer, speed and crit rate, but even hit points for a hit point based damage dealer in a stun set or something of that nature wouldn't be terrible. And of course, that's what we get. We get another double roll. That could be a good piece for someone who really needs to stay alive or maybe take some hits. There we go. Yeah, not terrible. Again, because we're not getting crit rate substats, probably won't go on a damage dealer, but this could go for someone who is crowd control in dungeons. At that point, it's not that bad. Moving on to a similar helmet, essentially getting rolls into resistance is bad, but especially double or triple speed rolls here would be worth it for someone just to cycle through things in dungeons. We get an attack. What's the next one? Speed and attack, could be worth it. Someone like a Soulbond Billiard, depending on how that goes, does damage, apply stun sets, or, people with AoE A1s. Worth keeping at this point. We'll roll that eventually and see where it goes. Now, here is a good one. Hit point chest, essentially double or triple rolls in any kind of the percentage stats here, and this is worth keeping. Hits once or twice in the flat attack will probably get rid of this just because you're missing out on too much. Ooh, not good. Starts out the first roll in flat attack. Let's see where they're. Yeah, at this point, because it's not in the more desirable rolls, I think I'm going to get rid of. If this was a more generally useful set or got some better first rolls, might keep, but not at this point. So sort of the same interesting accuracy chest though. Super niche. I'm not going to roll this right now. Once I get back into doing some filtering and selling things, we'll see how my accuracy chest goes and may or may not keep that one. Avenging. Essentially, I'm looking for multiple crit rate substat rolls here. This is another thing that my account is rather weak on. I get a crit rate or two in the first two rolls, I might keep it, otherwise not. First one went right into flat defense. Not looking good for the home team. And then let's see where 8 gets us. Right, so this is like the worst possible outcome. Rolls into conflicting flat stats. Yes, my account needs crit damage gloves. That's not the way to get them. So I will sell. Now we're into Stalwart. Interesting piece, might be good for a damage dealer if it gets multiple rolls in crit rate or crit damage. Low resistance roll, not a whole lot of help. Attack could be useful for someone who needs to stay alive. There we go, 1 in crit damage. Let's see what 8 gets us. If it gets something in crit rate or crit damage, worth keeping. Otherwise, probably not. Come on, let's get this one up there. I should have paused this one. All right, so at this point, not bad. Worth keeping for someone who needs sub crit rate. We'll get back to that when it comes through going through gear. Now we got a 6-star shield. Essentially, for this, as long as you don't have multiple rolls in resistance and multiple rolls in accuracy, it's good either as a Stalwart set or to complete just stats that people need. So I'll roll this real fast and we'll see how it goes. So this, everyone, is why you roll things. Triple speed roll. It's 6-star. Potentially you could get 30 speed on this by applying a 6-star glyph, or eventually I'll roll it to 16. But this piece will get used somewhere just because of triple speed roll. So regardless of set or slot, that's what you're looking for. Here's a very similar deal. Essentially a double roll in any one of these stats can be good depending on the person. Defense, damage dealer in a Stalwart set. So they take less damage and they hit harder, or it's already got speed. Like overall, pretty good piece. Again, so this triple rolls into speed. It's good, worth keeping. Gloves. Defense, gloves, speed, crit rate, attack. A little bit unusual because defense with attack percentage substats, really, I want it to roll into speed. If it gets 1 or 2 in speed, I keep. Otherwise, probably not. This is someone you want to go fast. Yeah, crit rate not helping. Because if you wanted someone to do damage, you put them in crit rate or crit damage gloves, not defense gloves with crit rate substats. Not looking good. And minimum rolls there. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get rid of this. Here's a good. Essentially, you're looking for multiple crit rate rolls here. But really, as long as you avoid flat hit points, probably worth it. We'll pause the recording so you can see the results real fast. So rolled it to 12, did get, a double roll into crit rate with, average but not terrible rolls. Worth keeping for someone who just, might need a little bit of crit rate. A little bit disappointing in the flat hit point, but not the end of the world. Now we go into some, clan boss gear. You get a drop every day. No speed here, but essentially you're looking for any kind of multiple rolls in crit rate or crit damage. So I'll roll it up real fast and talk about the results once I get there. So even after rolling, this is a really marginal piece with no crit rate. Its saving grace is double rolls and crit damage. I will keep, but this might get sold later in the third part of the video on gear cleanse. I'm looking at gloves. So crit damage gloves, multiple rolls in defense can get us something here, just to get the 80% crit damage and ignore defense. But getting flat defense isn't helping us a whole lot, especially if the piece is already marginal. There you go. Not a good opening roll. We'll see where the next one goes, but not looking good for keeping this, even with 80% crit damage and ignoring 5% of defense. Not worth it because of poor substat rolls. That's too bad. It had the potential to be a nice piece, right? An okay piece. Hit point. So this can be useful in a damage dealer that needs to stay alive, like for dungeon running. Essentially, you're looking for any kind of rolls in crit damage and crit rate, or really double rolls anywhere. We'll see how it goes real fast and talk about the results when we get there. So this piece is now a keeper for a triple roll and crit damage. Might be a little bit difficult to make 100% crit rate, but especially if you put someone in crit damage gloves with this kind of crit damage substats, you can get someone that can really crank out the damage. Well, worth keeping. We'll see if I can find a place to use that in the near future. Then an accuracy chest. We'll hold on to this one and see how it compares to the other accuracy chests I have. I don't keep a whole lot of them, but they're useful in especially Doom Tower situations. Not even sure why I kept this. No speed might be helpful, but I think even if it triple rolled hit points, I wouldn't really want that. Going to sell. Part of it is also knowing your account. I know I have a lot of that gear, so I don't worry about it that much. Here's a divine offense. Really, you're looking for avoiding accuracy, getting double rolls in crit rate, or maybe a triple roll and crit damage. But lacking speed, it's got to get really good rolls or it's going to get sold. So I will roll that real fast, and we'll talk about what happens when we see the results. So this is now a really odd piece. With 44 accuracy, might be worth keeping for dungeon runs, just because, we know that they're not that fast. You have to go super, super fast for many dungeon runs. But this may get sold again just because, if it gets speed in the fourth, it becomes an okay piece, but not hitting any of the damaging stats on Defiant Offense, not the best situation to be in. Divine Crit, really, for this, just avoiding flat hit points, and it's probably worth it. We'll see how we do. Especially you get multiple speed rolls, it becomes a reasonable piece. So probably worth keeping, but sort of marginal. We'll hold on to just because it's got speed, but not an amazing piece. Just the fact that it comes from PvP and is useful in PvP is why I kept it in the first place. Here's another one. Essentially, we're looking for multiple crit rate and crit damage rolls, and it could be good for like an arena damage dealer where the speed requirements aren't super high. So I'll roll it to 12 and see how we go. So at this point, with a double roll and crit rate and pretty strong, reasonable rolls, worth keeping, especially to get someone in crit damage gauntlets. This can become good. We'll see how the roll to 16 goes, but worth keeping. Divine Life, really, hit points and speed is good here. Nice for keeping people alive, or maybe even someone like a Seer just to get, an extra buff that she can eat in dungeons. So we'll roll this, and as long as we avoid, like a double roll on resistance, not looking good in the first roll, and we'll see where it goes after that. But you really want speed and hit points for this one. Gonna get rid of that just for not really rolling anything that we need for that piece. Crit. All right, so this is not bad. Essentially, multiple rolls in speed with any other kind of damage dealing stat can be reasonable. We'll roll it to 8, see where we go, and then depending on how it is, maybe even roll a 12 before we make a decision to sell. Yeah, so we rolled 1 and 1 so far. I'm going to roll a 12. Essentially, if we hit speed, it's a keep. Other than that, hard to say. We'll be right back when it rolls all the way up. So piece is rather marginal, might be used for a hit point based damage dealer. Will keep because I know my account is weak on crit damage gloves, but like I said before, that's a very, very marginal piece. Now, moving into perception gear, at this point, it's got to be good, and it has to roll well because I can make lots of perception gear out of Faction Wars runs. We'll roll this real quick and see how it goes. Multiple rolls in speed or accuracy or speed and crit damage would be what you're really looking for. So now that you've rolled the 12, haven't gotten the double, at this point it's really marginal. It's not awesome for a debuffer because of only one speed roll. Not awesome for a damage dealer because of no crit rate. I think I'm going to get rid of this one. It's also easy to make perception gear, so I hold it to a rather high standard. We'll check out this other weapon. Sort of the same thing. If you're not getting double or triple rolls in crit rate and crit damage, not doing a whole lot for you. So we'll upgrade and then talk about it when we see the results. So sort of marginal. We did get a double roll and attack here, but overall not impressive. Don't really get what you want out of it. Perception gear gets sold. Got a helmet. Essentially with this one, as long as either you get multiple rolls in speed or you don't get one each across the board, worth keeping as a support piece, but we'll see how it rolls and we'll talk about it when we see the results. Yeah, so one roll in each of these, no longer really a good piece, especially because the number of champions that need both attack and defense is super low. So we'll get rid of that one to quit spending any more silver on rolling it. We've got a shield here. You know, essentially double or triple rolling anything would be good. Especially, you know, people that need the speed and defense combination. A little bit sad that didn't have any accuracy substats, but, you know, overall could be, you know, could be a piece you wouldn't be excited to put on someone, but might fill stat holes. First roll and resistance, not a lot of help. We'll see where the second one goes, because we're only going to 8. We'll watch the roll through. Yeah, double resistance. Probably not a lot of help when you're going to want someone to go fast and or land debuffs. There's some gloves here. Attack percentage gloves. Keeping these only for when and if I get another bomb champion. Going to sit on it right now and not do a whole lot. But, you know, a bomb champion with multiple accuracy substat rolls or maybe even crit rolls, might want that. Protection and stone skin gear I hold to a very low standard just because I have so little of it, and actually you know, and you get it from Hydra, but you know, this gets very little scrutiny. Like any kind of multiple in crit rate and crit damage might be good there for protection. This actually could be a good piece for a buffer with multiple speed or accuracy rolls. Ooh, protection with a resistance chest, but no speed. Like I said, when I get to the point of having more protection, that very well may go. This is maybe a better one if you get multiple speed rolls, but the other flat subsets are not good. And defense with no speed, that's a super marginal piece as well. So I went through everything that, you know, had my new... Maybe this is a case of multiple resistance rolls could be good just to keep someone from getting stripped later. I went through everything in my new filter. Taking that off, we were at like 1287, so we got rid of 35 or 40 items. That is how I apply criteria to things before they get in my vault. The next video in my series, because this one is running long, is going to be going through my vault, running filters, and getting rid of things, with the idea being to get rid of the total, to get rid of the amount or number of gear items I have, but increase the quality. Hopefully you all found this useful. It's a bit longer than I usually make, but I think if it helps the community, it's probably worth the watch. This is Ezron signing off.